So you have a look in your local community and see if there's any seed swaps happening. They are normally free. It's where people have collected seed from the flowers or from veg the previous year, and they take them along to a place and share the seed. So there is a seed swap happening in Chelmsford Market on Wednesday the 20th of March, and that's happening 10 till 2, and that's in Community Corner within the market. So that's an opportunity for different groups and for different gardeners to come along and get free seeds. There'll be lots of veg and different flowers which maybe we wouldn't all necessarily think about growing, but we could have a go at growing because it is free. Most people enjoy eating peas, and they are quite easy to grow. So instead of going to a garden centre or DIY store and buying the proper seed from the shop, which could be a good couple of quid, to your local supermarket and buy the dried peas off of the shelf. Just soak them, and then you could then plant them into some soil, and then they will come up as well. And you could do that with lots of different seeds. Also sunflower seed, if you are buying sunflower seed for the birds in the garden, instead of going to buy separate packets of seed, you could then just sow that sunflower seed and see what your germination rate is. Just to buy one plant from the garden centre, a lot of the herbaceous plants which grow in the summer and then they die back in the winter will get bigger and bigger, and then you can divide them, or you can take cuttings of things. Hardwood cuttings in the winter time, then you can do softwood cuttings, which would be normally about spring, summertime, where you can take cuttings of your favourite plant in the garden and again get multiple of those. Meat or mushrooms, and they all tend to come in plastic trays. Give them a good wash out, poke a few holes in the bottom of that, and then you can fill it up with some soil, and then you could sow seeds using those trays instead. So they could start off with a windowsill, or they could be put straight outside. Just remember, if you do put holes in it, you need something underneath it to stop thinking you might have a leak indoors. Also incorporating wildlife into it. Tin cans, and you can make bug hotels, so you could be putting sticks, leaves, some straw, egg cartons in there as well. You could scrunch up and put in there, and that could be a home for some mini beasts. Or you could use a tin can and make it as a bird feeder. So you could put some string around this, and then you've got a place for the bird to land on, and you've got the seed inside. Or you could use plastic bottles for both cases. We tend to maintain our gardens, cut things back because they're overgrown. We could use some of the twigs and sticks to make a bird feeder. So you could either put fat balls in the middle here, in the middle of this support here, or you could go to the local park, select pine cones, and you could put vegetable lard around it and roll it in birdseed. You need a fork so you can turn the soil over, or you could, if you're able to bend down, then just getting some hand tools, trowel or a hand fork, so you go around the garden and tidy things up. So it's not too expensive, and they're quite small, especially if you haven't got much space in the garden, haven't got a shed. If you do have troubles with your back or you aren't able to bend down, then getting a garden hoe, I think, is the best investment which you can make, because you can stand relatively up straight and go around, gently turn the tops of the soil over to get rid of any weeds in the garden as well. I am a big believer in going to your DIY stores or garden centres and looking in their reduced plant section. Most things will survive. If it does look completely dead, it's dead. But if there is still some green shoots or some life in it, that should be something which we take home and nurture. A lot of the time, they just need a bit of a drink, and then they'll look fine once they're in your garden for a couple of weeks. They should all perk up. And a lot of the time, especially up to March, it's a good time to plant bare root fruit trees. So a lot of the time when we get past March and they've still got bare root fruit trees, they'll just be selling them off. There shouldn't be anything wrong with them. It's just the fact that we've gone past that traditional planting season. The reason why up to March is the best time is because they're still dormant, and they're just literally just by them with the roots hanging out with no soil around them. And it's the best time to get it indoors as well because of the weather. It's not too hot, and we've still got enough rain to be able to water them in and help them get established. So you could compost yourself at home, so using some of your garden waste and your uncooked food, and you don't want any meat or anything like that in it, and newspapers, you can put in a compost bin, and then you can create your own compost. It will take about a year, but after that year you should be able to reap the benefits and start using that around your garden. Or seeing if there's anyone around who's cheaply selling horse manure or if you know anyone who's got some horses, which you can have some of their well-rotted horse manure, or just general manure which you could then add to your garden. That will help feed the soil and help the plants establish better. Best money saving tip would be to sow some seeds one year and then start and keep collecting seeds off of your plants. They will flower and then it will start to go looking all brown. That's the point where we tend to cut them off because we think we've got an unkept garden. But actually, if you leave them for a bit longer, let the seeds form, then cut them, and then we can collect that seed to then use the following year. But don't keep them in a plastic bag. You want to keep them in a paper envelope or a paper bag, because if they're in plastic, they'll sweat and they'll rot off. Same with your vegetables. You can let some of your veg and fruits go to seed, so they produce the seed again, which you harvest, you keep for the following year to save, keep buying. Runner beans are a prime example that actually we tend to get a glut of runner beans if we do grow them. So actually leaving a few on the plant to dry out, then harvest those seeds, then you've got them for the following year.